your own answer, because we are created by that one, and we each have direct access to it. We don't need anybody else to help us get there. I can help facilitate you finding those answers, but you have everything that you need, and we all do. And that's the basic heart of our teaching of abundance, that we have everything was given in the beginning, and so we just have access to it. We clear away the clutter that we've put over the top of it so that we can access our natural abundance, and there is no asking amiss. There is simply knowing or not knowing.
Thank you. Elham, either a closing comment or the question would be, do you think most of the Baha'is kick in their 19%? And if they do, how is it distributed?
Well, I don't know. Giving to the Baha'i Fund is an obligation of every Baha'i, but people who are not Baha'is cannot give to the Baha'i Fund. It is a spiritual obligation, but there's no Baha'i Fund police running around, spanking people when they don't give to the fund. It's a private thing. It's a private period where you sit and think about what would be a sacrifice for you, and if you wanted to give more than 19%, you could give that. But there's no accountant, again, like no CPA making sure that you gave your 19%. I wanted to clarify one thing when I was asked about materialism being a cancer in the West. I feel like I may have given a slightly negative Nancy view of what the Baha'i faith feels. In the Baha'i writings, it says that America will lead all other nations spiritually, and that America will aspire to spiritual degrees as it already has in material degrees. So again, materialism and our focus on that is not good, but our ability to use what we have for the good of many is what is going to put us over the top.
Thank you. And Candace, either a closing comment or this question. How would modern things such as expensive communication systems that provide the opportunity to couch surf or buy cars factor into the gift economy? I think it has to do with how in a gift economy would you take into account the getting of that communication system that allows you to communicate, since they are expensive things?
Well, we live in a culture now where we're not living in a total gift economy, so obviously everything can't be a gift, but we need to start moving in that direction. Well, I'm not really sure still what they're asking. I mean, you realize that all of us need some income because we all have bills. So we're not looking at a slate where there are no bills and we're just being given everything. So basically the gift economy at this point is giving what you can. It's like with me, like I said, I had cut my paid work week down to 30 hours because that covered my bills, and that gave me time to do volunteer work. So that's what we're talking about, gifting what you can, not just saying that, we don't need money at all at this point, although I would personally love to live in a cashless society.
Thank you very much. Rabbi, this person asks, apparently something that they understand to be true, which may or may not be, and you can tell us, is the reason most Jewish people are rich because only people of means can afford to pay for high holidays and pay tithing?
This is one of the great urban myths. It takes resources to run any religious institution. In ancient days, it was the half shekel. It was the sacrifice that was shared by the priests. In the Middle Ages, the community was run similar to what Baha'i does with tithing and creating a community chest, if you will, that supported the institutions of the community. There is a desire within the Jewish community to provide resource upon resource upon resource to build and better the community. And thus it may appear that it takes wealth to make that happen. It takes resource to make that happen. And it is, again, the story of the miser, which illustrates so well how this operates within our community. That really it is when it's done secretively, not for the benefit of one's own merit, if you will, but the merit of the community, that takes the precedence.
Thank you very much. Father Bob, I've heard that Catholic Relief Services is the largest relief organization in the state. How and who do they serve?
I'll make a distinction. Catholic Relief Services is a large organization that serves people outside the United States. In the state of Nevada, Catholic Charities of Southern Nevada is the single largest social service agency in the state right now. It has 16 main programs, including running the Meals on Wheels program for most of the valley, a senior division, an adoption service, a graduated system of homeless relief from emergency shelter to work training programs to assisting people to finally re-enter into living situations. A lot of Catholic Charities work is funded through private contributions, and a lot of it is funded through grants from the county or the state, because like many things in Nevada, we are such a new state in terms of infrastructure. We don't have all the systems in place that larger metropolitan areas and other parts of the country might have to do that. So one of my favorite things to talk about is Meals on Wheels, just because there isn't the large existing infrastructure. We try to use Catholic Charities to fill any of those kinds of needs. I might add just a little footnote to Meals on Wheels. Two things have emerged in the last 5 years. One is the need for kosher Meals on Wheels food, so that not all Jewish people are of wealth. Some of them are among the poor among us who need assistance. And secondly, another phenomenon that happens sometimes with our seniors, our Meals on Wheels drivers from Catholic Charities have to actually go inside to deliver the meals, because they also function as another set of eyes checking to make sure the person's okay and all of that. And over the last 18 months or so, in a few cases, we have started to find that some seniors, in deference to the life of their pets, were giving their Meals on Wheels food to their dog or their cat. So now, through outside funding, there is another program to bring pet food to those people in that situation, because that's how desperate some of the poor in our valley are. And that's what I keep holding up. One final thing, I'm just going to say again, this other organization that I've been working with this last 2.5 years, on November 9th, is going to have a large event in North Las Vegas at Zion United Methodist Church, bringing together people of all these faith traditions who have already begun to cooperate and are interested in cooperating to try to address especially the vulnerable senior population and the issues of children across faith and economic and geographic boundaries. So if you're interested in any of that, you can see me at the social time, and there at least is one other person, colleague from that endeavor here.
Thank you, Bob. And Mujahid, you have the last word, and you can either make a summary statement, clarify, or take this question. And it says, why does a bride have to give dowry in a marriage and not the groom?
That's new to me. I'm going to have to go back and talk to my wife about that one. I should be asking for everything back. We did this thing wrong. So, with interest, as a matter of fact. Glad she's not here to hear that. Maybe she's online. I didn't mean it. So that is no, that's not the case. The man is responsible for the dowry to to the bride. Now, that being said, in brief, I would like to mention just in closing that there is a narrative we have in Islam. It's called Hadith, where God says that He says that if all the people in the world became holy, He says it would make Him no greater as God. If everybody became holy and righteous people, He said He would be no greater as God. He said, and if everybody became sinful, He said He would be no less God, because we were all sinners. He said, and if all of the men and the jinn that He had ever created, humans, all of the humans and the jinn that He had ever created were to come before Him and ask Him for something, and He was to give everybody what they asked for, God says it would take no more from His kingdom than if you were to take a pen to dip water out of the ocean, which tells you that we live in an environment of abundance. Far beyond that, God's mercy is far more infinite than our capacity to even imagine what it is. Lastly, in terms of giving, I'm reminded of a narrative where the Muslims were going on a campaign, and two of the companions, Abu Bakr and Omar, they were always competing to outdo each other in righteousness. And so one had brought a portion of his wealth, Omar, and the Prophet asked him, he says, "Oh, Omar, what did you bring?" He said, "I brought half to God and His messenger, and I kept half for myself and my family." Abu Bakr comes later and he says, "Oh, Abu Bakr, what did you bring?" He says, "I brought everything for God and His messenger." He says, "What did you keep for yourself and your family?" He says, "I kept the Quran and I kept your Sunnah." But at the end of the day, a poor man who had worked all day came, and he said to the Prophet, "O Messenger of God, I worked today and I earned 2 dates. I brought one for God and His messenger, and I kept one for myself." And the Prophet took the date, and that's when he prayed, because it wasn't how much he brought, it was the spirit that he brought with it. And that's the general idea. It's not the magnitude, how big the gift happens to be. It's what kind of heart do you bring to that gift. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I really want to thank our panel, who has agreed to be bound by these time constraints and to answer quickly and generously questions that sometimes may be difficult or unpolitic to answer. And so in addition to the depth of what they said, we want to thank them for that. And if you could join me one more time in giving us a round of applause. We really appreciate all of you coming out this evening in the rain. It's been a lovely evening, and thank you.